let banelings get to that natural expansion at all, they are just going to wreak havoc.
Yeah, I agree completely. Zerg matchup for a while was really boring, especially right around the time after beta when they doubled the food cost of roaches. It was really hard for Zergs to do anything but get speedlings and banelings and just nonstop tier 1, maybe even single base baneling speedling versus each other. And nowadays you're starting to see a little bit more savvy play in the Zerg players who learn that they can actually wall off pretty well using roaches and be able to win a later game with roaches, maybe by following up with mutas, exactly like you were saying. So here we've got Navi at the 12 o'clock position and Chompy at the 6 o'clock position. So Chompy, by the way, has a record here so far with SC Reddit. In the past 4 SC Reddits, he's been in the top 3 and he's won 2 of them. So he's got like a third place, and a first place or something. So he's got a pretty long-standing success rate here. And Navi, on the other hand, has been to all of these, and she's a fantastic Zerg player as well. So I'm kind of looking forward to see what they do. My prediction, or at least my hope, is that we see one player go banelings and one player use the more modern technique of roaches and beat the baneling player. I'd like to see that happen, but who knows?
Looks like both players opting to go for a lot of econ early on here. No rushes or anything going on of that sort. Just going for lots and lots of drones, and they're going to get overlords in each other's bases here pretty soon. So they're going to be able to scope out exactly what tech is going on for the early game until queens come out and start, going to work on those. And it looks like we do have a spawning pool. The first spawning pool has been made. Second one as well, just moments later. So they're both pretty much on the same build at the moment. They're going to have a decent economy going into the sort of, I don't know if you could call it mid-game, but Chompy calling Navi a copycat for making his pool, or her pool at the same time. Anyway, so it looks like we're going to have a pretty decent economy, and yeah, I'm curious to see what they're going to go for. The Overlords will be able to hang around for a little while and see what they do. It looks like expansion going down for Navi now. So we are seeing a little bit of change. So expansion for Navi and Chompy going with the gas only. Navi gas as well.
Yeah, I was going to say my red flag went up the very first time. This is the first game we haven't seen Navi open with an extractor. To have her open with a spawning pool and no extractor is wild for me, and it's probably because it's the first Zerg on Zerg matchup we've seen so far. And lo and behold, she went 14 pool, 14 hatch, and then 14 extractor or something like that. So, and like you said, whereas Chompy's got a more traditional kind of speedling-y build, Chompy is in a position to go baneling speedlings. And Navi, on the other hand, it's hard to tell where she is. So I'm going to have to see if she does opt going for roaches, or if she's going to try and counter banelings with defensive banelings, or what. But this expansion here could win her the game, or it could be the biggest liability. So we'll have to see what she does with that.
Indeed, it's going to be up to her to cover a lot of territory, and really the key here is that little bridge here, and I'll put a ping there so you can take a look at it, is that little bridge right there, because if going all the way around otherwise, it's going to take a long time to get to forward position, but if she can just manage to defend that without losing a ton of Zerglings to perhaps banelings, and I assume Chompy's going to go banelings at this stage, if she can get some roaches or something with a little chunk to it in that gap to make sure she's not having to defend basically both her ramp, that huge territory around her natural secondary, she'll be in a good position. I take it back, actually. Chompy has decided he is going up to lair, but he is also taking a natural expansion, and he's getting the extractor, and unfortunately for him, this is going to put him in a difficult economic position as long as Navi saturates that expansion as well, and I'm not sure whether Navi's going to get a good spot on that or not. Her overword's a little out of position. She is going to see that second gas, but wow, this is a interesting turn of events right here.
Chompy going for the lair very, very quickly, and then going for an expansion as well. Not very many lings at all for either player, actually. Both of them just getting that spawning pool mostly for queens. And so I'm curious if we're going to see like a quick muta in an attempt to go against the roaches that Navi apparently is known for, or the roaches that you could normally expect here. The lair is about... well, the lair is up, actually, and there we go. We see a baneling next going down below. So you're right, we are seeing banelings out of Chompy.
Baneling and Aspire too, which is this is a strange build for me because it's got both. He finally went into the Banelings much like we predicted, but yet the Spire's there, so could be distracting with Banelings and to try and shift her build into a more roach heavy build and try and trigger her alarm and have her say, "Oh, I need roaches now," and then suddenly surprise with mutas. Who knows?
Really, the trick here on this build for Navi is she needs to not overcommit with the roaches, and she needs the roaches to be on that gap in position. Right now, she's holding a ramp, and really what she needs is she needs to get just a drone or a Zergling or something like that. Check that northern, or I should say that western Zelnaga watchtower, so she can see any troop moving to that location, and again, just have the roaches on position to block the banelings on that right corner, rather than having to hold out that territory. And then again, she needs to not overcommit on the roaches. The Hydralisk Den is coming down, so it's just going to be basically, again, mobility. As long as Navi just keeps the drone counts going and, again, doesn't overcommit to the roaches, she should be okay. Looks like she's going to get some Hydralisks out to deal with the Spire on Chompy's end. His key to this is, again, just being to exploit that Navi cannot be everywhere at once. If he can just find the hole in the defense, go in, get a couple drones, he will be successful with this.
Yeah, I think as far as tactics are concerned, Navi has a major advantage here. Roaches for the Banelings and Hydras for the Mutas. Basically, she has the tech that can exactly counter the tech that Chompy has. So Chompy has a few more drones at the moment, and may have the advantage of some surprise with these Mutas before she can get many Hydras out. Like you were saying, if Chompy can kind of move around, use that mobility, then may be able to take an advantage that way. But otherwise, if it lasts too much longer, the Hydra Roach is just going to outdo anything that that Chompy can basically put out right now with this current tech.
Okay, and so on the right-hand side of the screen, we've got the first batch of Mutalisks coming through, and we're going to see what their harassment's going to be like, and a couple of Banelings. So we've actually got kind of a two-pronged attack here, and just like you were saying, Diggity, she's got to be able to see if she can get her reinforcements to do something about that. And here come the harassment. A lot of casualties on their side. Not a lot, but a handful, but at least preventing mining there while the Queen defends. But I think these Hydras have all that it takes, and I'm curious to see what he's actually going to end up doing with these 4 Banelings, because they seem kind of pitiful at this point.
Oof, yeah, just 4 Banelings. I expected more Banelings than this, and right now it looks like Navi just has a dominant advantage, needs to back off, able to, wow, actually didn't absorb as much damage as I thought, only losing 2 Hydras, a couple others weak, but that actually is not too bad. Actually, in this situation, Chompy overcommitting on the Mutalisks and undercommitting on the Banelings here, and Navi is in a huge dominant position. Even though she's going to lose some more drones, it looks like on her main, she's up 45 Harvesters to 30, I'm sorry, she's actually down 34 Harvesters to Chompy's 48. Yeah. So Chompy actually maintaining a lead here. It looks like Navi not able to keep up with the macro on this edge. So Chompy, I like the strategy here, going up, just using the Mutalisks to pin Navi back. In the meantime, just unloading Harvesters left and right, knowing that basically Navi has to sit back and deal with the attacks that Chompy's throwing at her.
Yeah, Chompy basically made just a few Banelings and a few Mutalisks and did not overcommit. I didn't see what happened to those Banelings. I must have missed it. But and then droned up like crazy. So, like you said, lots of drones. It looks like Navi's trying to catch up in drones right now that she knows that she has a little bit of an advantage. And these Hydras out to defend. Muta's coming in trying to do some harassment. There's a few Hydras that are going to keep those held off. But yeah, so Navi has the tech advantage, and Chompy has the momentary econ advantage, and he's trying to use that econ advantage and make it even larger by picking up these drones, doing a decent job of running around, not really losing any mutas or anything like that, so doing a pretty good job of that. Those mutas are going to get chased off, but in the meantime, keeping that edge, a good 10, 12 drone edge right now. Let's see if... No, still okay. No, Hydra's Den is up, so Chompy is switching into a different tech as well, which I think is going to be good in the long run.
I think one of my biggest complaints about both of these players that they've done consistently throughout, and of course I'm just nitpicking now, but is spreading creep tumors, and we're finally seeing Navi take the time to put that out a little bit. But both players don't really do that. Now I can understand that in a Zerg versus Zerg matchup to some extent. If you fear Speedlings and Banelings, the last thing you want to do is give them a speed advantage to come and maneuver around in your base. So I think now that she knows that's not the case, she's starting to actually spread that creep around so that she can actually defend with her Hydralisks. But Chompy's got a big force of mutas to look out for, and I really want to see what he's going to end up doing with that, because here he comes taking out this Overlord, Overseer that's down here. But yeah, we're going to have to see. She's going to need to be more mobile, which means spreading creep everywhere where she thinks she's going to get attacked is the best possible bet for her.
Yeah, unfortunately for Navi at this stage, I feel like Chompy's just had much superior macro Granted, she did lose 3 drones, but I don't think she was really keeping up with the larval spawn larva. Wasn't able to keep up with basically with the Mutalisk positioning, and I really like what Navi's doing, just getting a bulk force of Mutalisks essentially to run around, realizing that Mutalisks, this is a very difficult map to move around on with just Mutalisks, because like that 3rd expansion going to get taken out very rapidly. Chompy getting a death grasp on this right now, so essentially Navi has to keep a pile of Hydralisks together, where Chompy can just move around with his little pile of Mutalisks, and the Hydralisks are just running into walls. Essentially, they're like, you can just kind of visualize that kid who's looking at to catch the baseball and head on running into a fence or something along those lines. But yeah, right now Chompy has twice the harvester count almost of Navi, and he is just sitting pretty.
I think, and I'm not the best player, but if I was Navi right now, I would be attacking because, and just leave, your reinforcement hydras to try and hold off the mutas a little bit and try and do some damage back because, and obviously she doesn't know what situation she's in completely, but with double harvesters on the other player, but she's got this advantage and it's just letting, Chompy keep this map control. Needs to move out with those hydras and try and take out one of Chompy's bases, try and do some damage back basically at this point because she's been stuck in her base this entire time. We do have some burrowed roaches moving across the map. Looking around, there's a couple overseers morphing in the area, so it's not going to be too big a deal as long as they get those. Yeah, the mutas are just like hovering over those roaches, just waiting for an overseer to show its face.
Yeah,
anyway,
I agree
but here come the
completely with you on
hydras
that.
now
That's
to move
great.
out to join it, so that would be good.
Yeah, I agree completely with your assessment of that Moletrap. Is the fact that I see this a lot in 2v2s and 3v3s as well, which is when somebody has a big, and here's the hit right now. When somebody has a big army of mutas and they're harassing and keeping everyone in the base, the best thing you can do, because you have the units that counter mutas, is just go and attack them with it. Because mutas want to be attacking and harassing. You never want to defend with mutas against stuff that kills mutas. And so you just take all these, take as many Hydralisks as you can and put them in the muta player's base, and they can never defend against it. And so that's really her best bet. I'm glad to see her doing that.
Unfortunately, right now I almost wonder if she is if Chompy, I should say, has a bulk amount of Mutalisks where you might even just be able to run this over. There are some roaches underneath, but you only have it looks like 17 Hydralisks out there, and with the Banelings, ouch. A bunch of Banelings, a bunch of Mutalisks being morphed in right as Navi's running into this natural expansion. As long as these Banelings don't just all blow their load on those first few roaches, this army should be completely wiped out.
Oh, and here come the Zerglings and the Banelings. The Hydras are running for dear life. Oh, they pulled
And
the
the
Overseers there, and everything gets completely slaughtered. Oh man. Oh, that was beautiful.
Those
I'm gonna
Shen's
go
kills
cry.
for that overseer. That was good.
Yeah, seriously. And it looks like the Banelings rolling their way, rolling, heading directly to the natural expansion.
Yeah, that's
Navi should
game.
be GG any second here.
Yep. Most of the
Wow.
time, I would say you win a big victory, you want to back off a little bit and capitalize on it. But you win that big, you just win the game. Go for it. I mean, to have the obs, right? The burrow was the only thing that could have saved her.